you said this in the New York Times. What I see over and over is narratives that are absolutely lying to the audience about how life works out. And they're lying to the audience for the sole purpose of making the audience feel good, he said. That's not what art is for. The mission that I feel like I have is to figure out how you can tell the truth about how tragic and unfair life actually is without destroying hope. So, do you feel that that is, when you're picking plays, that you think, well, maybe not consciously think about that, but is that a big part of the kind of work that you like to do? I mean, this article was a couple of years ago, you know, things change.
It's huge. It's a huge part of what I do. Hope, to quote my friend Mr. Kushner, is not a choice, it's a moral obligation. We have to have hope. We have to believe that we can make a difference, that we can make the world a better and more just and fairer place. And we have to act on that belief. We have to act as if that's true, even if the odds are against us, even if we have to do that. It's a moral obligation. But we don't do that by lying to people. We don't do that by, I mean, here's a question I don't know how to answer, but just an aesthetic question. In the end of 3 of his last plays, the romances, Shakespeare ends the play with the dead coming back to life, with Hermione coming back to life in Winter's Tale, with Marina coming back to life in Pericles. And they don't. The dead don't come back to life. That's the fundamental thing about being dead. They're gone. It's over. There may be some other world, but they don't come back to life in this world. And yet, when Shakespeare doesn't, it doesn't feel like he's lying to me. It feels like what he's doing is giving a metaphorical or poetic expression to the idea that that which you love is never entirely lost to you. And so I am willing to accept that. I'm willing to go there. But then on the other hand, there are plays that I see that have happy endings that feel to me like they're deliberately trying to tell me that anybody who works hard and believes in themselves, everything is going to work out for them. I'm not going to name names, but it's just because, and I'm a little overly sensitive to this topic, it enrages me when I feel like a work of art is lying to the audience so that rather than facing truths about life, the audience can comfort themselves with things that aren't true about life. That's not the function of art, and it's not the function of storytelling. And we have a president who has elevated this to a moral principle. Say anything you want, tell any story you want, for the sole purpose of feeding the prejudices of the people that you're talking to. You have no responsibility to actually try to describe the truth about the world. I think artists do have a responsibility to try to tell the truth about the world, which doesn't mean it has to be a literal truth. Witness the Shakespeare romances. It's not literally true that Leontes' dead wife comes back to life, but one can understand that the power of repentance and the power of forgiveness can be such that metaphorically something like that happened. I'm not explaining it very well because I actually don't have it quite figured out, but that's where that quote came from.